everyone, grab a taco and a straw. It's time for some HorCHATta. I'm your host, Jinx Scott, along with my co-host,
Krista Garza.
And we're going to try and bring you some great different topics that are out there and try to keep things as neutral as possible because there's too many people like bashing too far to the left or right. We want to try and bring some neutrality and come at things from a different perspective, hopefully. Of course, we all have our own personal views, but hopefully we can kind of come to the middle ground here and see where we can find some ways that we can get along. Everybody loves tacos and HorCHATta, right? Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
And there's always that middle ground too. There's always the different angles of looking at things. And so what we would like to do is kind of a social experiment, right? Like we want to try to figure out the middle ground because there's so much like I'm right, you're wrong. That's it.
We are going to be your political moderators, just like they have at all those political debates. We are going to be the moderators, trying to keep it neutral as best we can with the topics of today. And we've decided to start with something that no party line has come up with, as far as we know, a side on one way or the other. So this is going to be a totally new, neutral topic. That, I'm sure people have their opinions, but this is not a party line opinion. So, Krista, why don't you tell us a little bit more about this topic?
All right. So this isn't exactly like a political topic. This is more of like a social topic. But it does have to do with the way that we are presented with information, right? So over the past 10, 13 years now, because YouTube started in 2005, it has grown so big, right? And it's actually more watched, I think, than any other platform because I think people want to relate to other creators, right? Kind of like how we're doing, right? We're doing our own thing here.
Everybody's sharing their knowledge and their information.
Exactly.
And trying to make a profit, which gets to the point
of everything. So everything kind of blew up this summer. I don't know how many of you are familiar with the YouTuber Shane Dawson. He's been around for forever. Jinx, do you know
have no clue.
People call him kind of like one of the OGs of YouTube. And so he did a documentary about a famous beauty YouTuber, Jeffree Star. Now, Jeffree in of himself is kind of controversial.
Him I've heard of, yes.
Probably because I talk about him a lot. I'm actually a big fan
I've
of
seen
Jeffree
memes
Star.
about him recently.
Well, that's kind of what it is. So after this whole documentary that Shane did, profiling Jeffree, there was some other drama with some of Jeffree's ex-friends, and they were fellow beauty YouTubers. And basically what happened, trying to make a long story short here, is there was some drama that happened that eventually it made other people want to come out with these videos called My Truth. Okay. And there was another.
The viewers can't see this, but Krista just did quote unquote around My Truth.
My Truth.
Okay.
I do that a lot. Like I talk with my hands a lot.
Which that's like everybody's it's telling things with their truth these days. Yes. So yes.
So everybody's talking about, My Truth. And there was a company that came out and said, we can't we don't market so much with YouTubers anymore because they charge just way too much money. And then this other investigative channel, they're like, oh yeah, like YouTubers will charge like $60,000 for a review on a product. And then like for some reason that number stuck, right? Like nobody could get over this like $60,000, right? And then a bunch of the other YouTubers and creators are kind of like, well, that's not true. Like we don't charge that much, that's kind of a ridiculous number. But one of the YouTubers, James Charles, he actually brought up a good point. I love the way he said this. He talked about how, even if you are paying that much money, it's a lot less than an entire advertising campaign. So you, as someone who wants to sell your product, still come out ahead, right? So there's all this argument like back and forth about it, right? And basically what it culminates to is now people are kind of feeling like, well, how can I believe you when you say that you use these products? How can I trust that this is an actual honest review and it's not just money in your pocket? And people are now like kind of getting angry about the way that they're being advertised to, and they feel like their YouTube creators that they watch is, one big commercial. So I understand, how some people feel about it, and they're kind of like, oh, well, just show me how to do a smoky eye. Like, I don't want to be sold a product, and then there's a whole nother side of it too, with like, products that don't work as well as they're said to have worked. There's certain people who come out with collaborations with companies, and then the product isn't as good. It doesn't perform as well. So then there's that whole other thing. Like, so people are getting very angry about this and like the way products are marketed and things like that. And then also going back to Shane Dawson, now he's doing a documentary about Jake Paul. And the question that he is posing is because Jake Paul is such a controversial person, he asks the question, is Jake Paul a sociopath? Well, people are getting angry about him using that term.
So I just want to, I've let you go on a long time, but
yeah, I'm sorry.
So yeah, in the meantime, I'm trying to look up some quotes. Hopefully we'll get some in here from different people having to do with this topic. But I think it comes down to like with this is, YouTubers, they're already making profits from the advertising when people go to watch their videos. But
not as much as
not as
think.
much. Yeah, but not. And trust me, I know. You have to get a lot of views before YouTube starts paying you in the first place, and Google ads and all that. But so, I understand, if they're doing this and they're getting a lot of followers and stuff, trying to make some money. However, I do think it's important that it's actual products that they use and want to endorse. Now, if a company says, hey, we love what you do, can you, showcase my product on your show? And they actually use the product for the review that they're doing. And while reviewing that product, they're technically reviewing that product and showing it how it's used. They can comment on how well it goes on or applies or, easy to use, things like that, whether it's a makeup product or some
anything
other
else.
Thing. So they can technically be doing that. Whether they use it in their daily life after that, who knows if they really like it. But if they don't like it, they're going to say that in the review too. I mean, just because you're doing a review on something doesn't mean you have to always say something positive. However, there's the dark side where if they're paying you money, they're going to expect you to say something positive. So are viewers getting an accurate and honest review, or are they getting something that was paid for? So that's
the whole debate.
Yeah.
That's the whole debate. And a bunch of creators have had to come out and defend themselves and say, like, oh, I really do use this product, or, even if it is a company that they like, but then, they give a negative review, they feel like they have to defend themselves and say, I love the company. I love other things that they've done. I just don't like this thing. Let's actually listen to a clip from Tati Westbrook and James Charles discussing this and talking about sponsorships.
I don't do sponsorships because really my audience does not like them, and they feel that it cuts down on my level of trust.
Well, that gets into the conversation about the consumer. For influencers, I'm saying it's not physically, like, there's no challenge behind posting a caption saying this is sponsored.
There have been people that will take sponsorships and say that it hasn't been sponsored, and I know that it has because the same offer came to me.
That happens
and
to
I'm
me all
like,
the time.
oh, okay, that's weird. It's unique, I think, from our standpoint. We see it all, and there's so much that the audience doesn't see.
And that people are money hungry, and then when people do sponsorships and disclose, people say, oh, we are selling out, or oh my God, like, wow, you need money that badly, or like, it's a little bit of a twisted system. And I think that at the end of the day, consumers are consumers, and it sounds really blunt and stupid to say, but it's like consumers get to choose what they want to consume.
And then it's also caused people to look into companies a little bit more. So now there's another thing, kind of going back to what I was saying before. Shane Dawson's doing this thing on Jake Paul. Well, he got sponsored by BetterHelp. And it has come out that BetterHelp, they advertise, all of our counselors are accredited and things like that. And then it turns out they weren't really back-checking as well as they should have. So now, like, Shane is being attacked, Philip DeFranco is being attacked because they advertise BetterHelp. And, so then the other question becomes like, well, should it be on the creators to
do background checks on the companies that they're promoting or advertise? And the thing is, if it's an advertisement, on your space, then are you responsible for what? Would you hold, like, say, like Ford or Papa John's? That's one that had a recent controversy, right? Papa John's, you run an advertisement through your TV program, your news show or whatever, you have Papa John's advertising during it. Do you sit there and look down upon the TV show that aired the Papa John's commercial, or do you just hold Papa John's accountable for their actions? In that instance, it was just Papa John's held accountable. You don't hold because they're advertising everywhere. And if you wouldn't hold people on TV accountable for the advertisements that are aired during their show, like Super Bowl, things like that, then why would you hold the YouTubers accountable for the advertising? Is it just because they have a more limited amount of what they because they're still making money the same way that the big networks do, but you're not going to hold a big network accountable for it.
Well, but that's kind of the difference, though, is like, okay, I wouldn't hold a YouTuber accountable for something that YouTube decides to run, right? But see, I have a unique perspective on this as you do as well, being that we are in the media industry, right? So you and I can differentiate between, okay, this is the network selling things, right? The topic, the controversy right now is the YouTubers themselves endorsing products, advertising products, things on their show that they say personally that they use, right? And
so they can still use BetterHelp, 'cause, for instance, I've used BetterHelp, which I've had a great experience with it. Maybe, I could see if somebody had a serious mental issue or something that was suicidal, you definitely want them to be talking to somebody that knows what they're doing. Right. Yep. My situation obviously not that bad, but I still feel like I've gotten a good amount of help, and I've promoted it to other people. Right. Not being paid for it, but just because I've gotten a lot out of it.
Right.
So they could still be getting out of it something beneficial to themselves. They might still actually be using it.
Right.
And just like me, not realizing anything else is going on, they're just going off of their experience.
Exactly.
If that's how it is, then they're not accountable for anything else BetterHelp is doing, especially if that's not known. How would they know that? So why should they be accountable? And
the company can hide it very easily. There's tons of companies out there that eventually it comes out that they had shady practices.
Yeah, I think there's a difference between something where they knowingly know it's a bad product and still promote it. Like they absolutely hate the product, would never use it in real life, and yet still shamelessly promote it. But let's be honest, there's probably tons of people in Hollywood that do that. Like, what's her name? Sofia Vergara. Am I saying her name right? She's out with the Head and Shoulders commercials. Do you think she really uses Head and Shoulders all the time in her son? Like they show in the commercials? Probably not. I mean, it's a decent shampoo, but do they use it every day? I mean, something tells me she does not have that big of a dandruff problem. I'm just guessing. So, or Pantene, you see all these products. But how often do these people actually use the products that they're advertising?
That's also somewhat different to me, because it's like, okay, you're being paid to be the actor or actress, right? Whereas, if you are, especially if you are like a review channel, right, of any kind, right? If you, talk about video games or something, and then like you're asked to talk about, I don't know, some new controller or new device, right? Like you want to do an honest review on it, right? So I feel like that's kind of different, I guess, than just being like a spokesperson for it.
Yeah, I was going to say it comes down to the integrity of the reviewer. Mm-hmm. Do you trust them to be honest about the product, no matter what monetary compensation they're getting from the company? Is the company in their contract telling them, nope, you can only say good things about us, otherwise we don't pay you? Then
that comes down on the company.
But you'll know that too if somebody gives a great review for something and you get it and it's a crappy product, you're not going to trust that reviewer, right? So then their reviews are going to be less and less popular because you can't trust the reviewer, and people are going to call them out on it. That's what the comment section's for, which never read the comment section. All it is a rabbit hole of hate. But
bad idea. Don't do it.
That being said, we want to hear your comments.
Yes, for sure.
On our show. Hopefully you're liking what you're hearing here on HorCHATta, and hopefully we're bringing you lots of good tacos here, some stuff you can dig into and enjoy without getting feeling like you're getting pushed one side or the other. We want to know what you have, your thoughts are on this product.
We said the word product too much, I think.
Your thoughts are on this subject and this topic. Do you feel that it's okay for people to do reviews on products they're getting paid for? How, and this is where it does come, it's not political now, but I have a feeling that sooner or later this is going to start becoming somewhat of a political issue, because they're going to probably want to start doing some sort of regulations on this. So we're right at the forefront of this right now.
Well, there is a little bit of politicalness about it, though, because
just really quick, hold on, for anybody that does have comment, if you do have a comment and want to contact us, you can reach me at sayhi2jinx@gmail.com. That's the number 2, sayhi number 2 jinx JINX@gmail.com. Or Krista,
you can reach me on Facebook. My name is Krista Garza, KristaGarza. Or you can find me on Twitter, KIACULLOGARZA.
I'm also on Twitter at Jinx Scott, JINXCOTT, if you want to reach me there. I don't check it often, but maybe I will if people start tweeting me, and then maybe I'll start actually tweeting stuff out.
Yeah.
But yeah, we'd love to hear from you guys and see what you have to say on the topic. But you were getting back to the public regulation and things like that. What were you going to say on that, Krista?
Just that there is actually regulations on YouTube that you have to disclose a sponsorship. And there are actually regulations on how you're supposed to say it's a sponsorship. So that's the other thing that is being brought up too, is are YouTubers getting around disclosing the sponsorship? So I'd love to hear your opinions on that as well. So
yeah, so I think this is a good topic. We'll probably be revisiting at some point and seeing where it's going from here.
As it develops, I'm sure more will come out.
Because I feel like I think that YouTubers have as much right to making monetary compensation through companies sponsoring them.
Oh, yeah, please make your coin.
Yes, exactly. The same as TV networks do. TV shows, they have people that sponsor shows all the time. They're not always promoting the product in their shows. I think that, or doing a review on it. I think that's where the line is. Because if you're just doing your show and you say, hey, we're sponsored by so-and-so, that's different than reviewing a product for said company and promoting it that way. You're just like, they are a sponsor, they pay that's saying they're paying me to let you know that they're sponsors, so you'll go shop for them because you like our show, you'll like them too, right? You like us, buy stuff from them, so they'll pay us more money. Whereas if you're doing a review for someone that's paying you, that's a little bit different, and that's where the integrity thing comes in. And that's my piece on it. I don't know, Krista, I'm close to yours.
And I think we took a bite out of that.
Yep. We'll be back next time with our next episode of HorCHATta, and bring you some more good, wholesome stuff that you want to dig into and not run away from. This is Jinx Scott and
Krista Garza.
Keep on sipping.